Can you hear the sound, the drums, the rataplan? Unfortunately, we don't have a drummer combo here, so I have to improvise a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the winner of the UEG Lifetime Achievement Award 2019, Professor Peter Malfertheiner. Welcome and congratulations.
Yes, hello, thank you very much.
Professor Malfertheiner, you are Professor Emeritus from the Medical Clinic and Polyclinic 2 Campus Großhadern, Munich, Germany.
I am the Emeritus Professor of the University of Magdeburg,
Magdeburg
in Germany,
okay.
Which I have led for more than 20 years, the Department of Gastroenterology, Hepatology and Infectious Disease. It's a
right.
common interest.
Yeah, right.
And I'm now as an Emeritus part-time in a special Emeritus Professor position at University Munich, as you just mentioned.
Because I went to your, or through your vita a little bit, and it's amazing. I mean, there are so many domains and phases and periods in your life, in your professional life, so interesting. You were born in Kastelruth, beautiful Tyrol,
absolutely,
is that correct? Yeah. Then you went to Bologna for medical studies, then to Bozen in Italy again, Ulm, Rochester, Bonn, Magdeburg,
wonderful, yeah,
and then Munich.
Yeah.
So that sounds like an interesting life.
Yeah, it is.
Tell us a little bit about it.
It is. I was very fortunate that when I was educated as a medical student, I was in Bologna, and that led me, because I had outstanding teachers there, to gastroenterology. So it was a passion from my student times, and then being ein Südtiroler from South Tyrol, I spent 2 years in Bolzano at the regional hospital. And since I was a passionate skier as well, this was an excellent combination. But then I noticed I want more. I want to improve my professional skills. I want to go to university. And of course I made the best out of my German language and went to Germany, to Ulm first, as you mentioned.
First. And then to Rochester.
And then I had a special chance to go for a year to Rochester, Minnesota. At that time, I was dedicated to the pancreatic diseases, and Rochester at the time was really top in the world, so I had this privilege to go there.
There are so many highlights in your career, but I'm sure you can just name one or two you're particularly proud of.
In my career, there has been one bacterium that really made a difference, because I was in a comfort zone working on the pancreas, and then this bacterium popped up, just a letter in Lancet at the time. And I was doing research in the stomach and duodenum for getting money from industry, because the pancreatic field did not lead to such supports. Yeah. And when I heard that there is a bacterium, at that time it was called Campylobacter, first I didn't trust, then I looked at it, and from then on this became the focus of my medical research clinics, and basic and translational and all together. So the interest since then was on Helicobacter, and now with this new microbiome, this enlargement of the field, this is the other topic that I'm deeply involved.
How do you feel about the recognition of your work, especially the Lifetime Achievement Award, but there are so many other prizes you have been awarded to?
Well, I think recognition always makes me give a feeling of gratefulness that I have been able to find so many people working with me, that I was able to motivate, that we had dialogues, that we shared, that we communicated. And I think it's teaming up with the right people. And maybe this is one of my best talents, that I could identify always people to bring with me in my group and to motivate them to work, because it's never a one-man show in your life. So the recognition of an award is something, as I also mentioned this morning, I want to share first with all the community who is interested in this field and and then with the people that, from many parts of the world worked with me to achieve what we did at the end as a team.
Let's zoom back a little bit in the beginnings of your research in Helicobacter. Was it difficult to fight for the concept because nobody believed you that bacterium could cause cancer?
In the stomach? Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah.
This was breaking a dogma, and the so-called, I call them key opinionated leaders at the time, they refuted this.
Opinionated.
And it was opinionated. It was the strength, maybe because I was also a sportsman there, it helped to battle it through, because I was convinced. I had the proof. And it was easy for me to go along this way. Sometimes when people said this, one day it will show that this is only an artifact, but it didn't turn up to be like that, and so I was lucky, and it's 30 years of research. Then I was founding this Helicobacter study group with some of our friends from France, Megro and others, and this is also a community of friends that we have remained until now. And now we want to push the young people to bring this concept forward. And as I mentioned, the microbiota, you are a medical doctor of tropical and infectious disease, so you understand this very well, how fascinating the world of the gut microbiota is, where we are really at the beginning with these new technologies. It's an exciting field, and to bring further this development needs young people to be motivated. That's the thing I like to do.
Do you think that in the research of Helicobacter, everything has been researched now, or is there still open fields that need to be looked into?
I think it's not closed. The chapter is not closed because we are appreciating with basic science studies how this infection is triggering the carcinogenesis. That's the whole basic science part. But the more important thing that I try now to support is that we battle on a world level gastric cancer. It's about 1 million
especially
people.
In Asia, I guess.
In Asia, in fact, that's one of the reasons, and they are really on the lead now because they are initiating strategies to fight in the population this terrible disease, because a gastric cancer also clinically is devastating. And knowing that 90% of all these cancers in the stomach are attributable to Helicobacter pylori, to look for the bacterium, to treat it, and to prevent gastric cancer, I think that's something that will still occupy even the next generation to come.
One of the recent things that have come up was the DIY test, stool test and breath test for Helicobacter infections. What's your take on that? Do they help to foster early diagnosis, or is it just not reliable?
It is absolutely reliable to detect Helicobacter, and if you use these technologies, so-called non-invasive, like the breath test, the fecal antigen stool test, then you are able to identify the infection, but you would not know how much this infection has already progressed with the damage. So it's important in the elderly people that you also look at the mucosa. And then we have other screening possibilities like pepsinogen, which, for instance, if it's low, then you have already an indicator for atrophic gastritis, which is a step closer to cancer than just the infection itself.
We already talked about it a little bit, but coming back to your other field of expertise, probiotics, microbiota is a very much debated issue, many medical conditions, not only among medical professionals, but also in the layman world. Do you think those probiotics, that they are beneficial for patients other than infected with Clostridium difficile infections?
Yeah.
What's the role of probiotics?
I think the role of the probiotic therapy, which modulates the gut microbiota to prevent diseases, to cure diseases. You mentioned the most important, if you have diarrhea due to antibiotics, they are evidence-based helpful.
Yeah.
But the associations between the so-called dysbiotic gut and different diseases, not only limited to the digestive system, but metabolic, obesity, diabetes, they will play a fundamental role. But what we do, we need more evidence. We need trials to be performed to reach with these probiotic mixtures, strain mixtures, the same level of evidence that we have for other pharmacological principles. But it's the world of the future, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's not antibiotic, but it's probiotic.
Yeah. Would you give it in patients in advance before, let's say, whatever antibiotic therapy?
There is data to show, especially in communities where you have a high incidence, as you said, of Clostridium difficile infection, that certain strains, certain mixtures of strains can prevent the infection. So it's an important step. And for instance, I'll just tell you something that we are interested. Everyone is talking about autonomous aging. And we got a grant, and we did this study in Magdeburg, where we had to look at the microbiota composition on profiles in the elderly who are still autonomous compared to those who suffer of diseases. And we are looking now for the missing bacterial profiles in order to think of developing strain mixtures that can help to allow an autonomous living in the age. So this is one approach, just to tell you something of the ideas we have.
I think that's the new field of research.
Yeah, one of the new.
one of the fields. Yeah. The winner of the UEG Lifetime Achievement Award, Professor Peter
Malfertheiner.
I knew that I will.
No, but it doesn't matter.
Malfertheiner. That's your name, right?
It's really difficult, you know. You spell it well.
Yeah, right. I should. Thank you very much for being here and spending your time. All the best to you. Thank you very much.
It's very sympathetic.
Greetings to Kasterud.
Yeah.